All hail Biafra. This is Biafra Liberation Army Network coming to you again. Please like, share, and comment.
So what I'm trying to say and make clear to you is that the people who are giving prophecies about Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, a lot of people have come out there and prophesy, oh, Mazi Nnamdi Kanu is going to buy in dungeon, buy in custody, this, that. Please refrain your word and restrict your voices. Restrict whatever you are bringing. Take away your words and take it back. He that the Lord has called can no man by any means tamper.
Pastor David Kingley. Also, among these fake prophets, Ghana call for because there's a particular video of one man of God got viral. Iboni could have Mazi Nnamdi Kanu by in detention, blah blah.
God revealed to me how Nnamdi Kanu died, and after Nnamdi Kanu died, there is this medicine after death. We for release him, we for Allah to exercise his right, and before then, he's gone. God said I should tell the president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria to please forgive Nnamdi Kanu and order the release of Nnamdi Kanu. God said it should not look like the one of MKO Abiola, that after election, they said it's not the one that won the election. After the man have died.
Actually, getting to know if this man of God could ever have this particular video, this Pastor David Kingley, if Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. And again, he also said something about the forthcoming protests Agaga on 20th of October. Just listen to the video. Actually, me John who on a video.
Cannot judge another man's servant. So Mazi Nnamdi Kanu is not buying anywhere. And whatever they try to do, we add life to it. That is what the message is. And every battle that is going on spiritually and physically, God is aware of them. And at the end of it all, is going to be for the betterment of everybody. Betterment of everybody. What is called good leadership. What's called good equal justice, equal right, and everybody must have what's called good governance. And that's what we all are praying for, and it will happen. And also we must know that when God is involved in a matter, that's nothing any man can do about it. The power of God will always prevail in whatever matter it is. And that is why everybody must be truthful. When you are truthful, God will speak on your behalf. When you are right, God will speak for you. Truth can never be buried. Truth can be attacked, but truth can never be buried. If you bury the truth today, tomorrow the truth will rise again. Amen. Glory to God.
I think on your show I once declared that Kanu's predicament or his ordeal is as a result of some persons in Southeast who took a decision that his release would jeopardize their political career and future. That I know as far back as when Tinubu freshly became president, because I was part of some conversation to release him. And they said at that time, Imo elections are coming. If it comes out, APC might not win. And subsequently, I realized that some of the communiques you see is just, word of mouth by day. When they go at night or when they meet Tinubu, it's likely that they have a different position. And when I started contacting them in the last 24 hours, I'm shocked. Some of them that I used to be able to reach just switched off their lines. The ones I sent messages never responded. I reached out to Soludo, who I know personally.
That's Charles Soludo, who's
governor of
Anambra State.
No response till now. I reached out to Alex Oti. Alex Oti used to be a columnist for Sahara Reporters, so I know him personally. No response till now. The only response I got was a nominal response that no, we shouldn't have dragged us the way you did. Reached out to Peter Obi, they said he's in Rome. But I sent a message that you can behave as Romans do too. Just be part of this. But some have been encouraging. Senator Abaribe, I reached out to him. He responded. He said, "I'm in on this," and I know that Abaribe suffered when he was a shorty for Kanu. In fact, I was sleeping on Abaribe's bed at the DSS in 2019, shortly after he was released.
To the ordeal of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu anytime soon, or is he now likely to wither away in perpetual detention as his supporters fear? The IPOB separatist leader has been incarcerated for over 10 years on charges of treasonable felony, despite various court orders and appeals for his release. Till date, he stands unconvicted, and for many champions of justice, his continued detention is both a travesty and a violation of his fundamental human rights. They say this exposes the widening gap between Nigeria's constitutional provisions of a right to a fair trial within a reasonable time and the daily realities of the citizens of this besmirched country, in a world in which the enduring principle and the cornerstone of the law is that every individual is presumed innocent until proven guilty. Well, today, a new call for action has been made by the human rights activist Omoyele Sowore, challenging Nigerians across ethnic lines to join him in a peaceful march to the Aso Rock presidential villa to demand Mr. Kanu's release, even as his health is reported to be fast deteriorating in custody. Well, for more on this, I'm joined now in the studio by the irrepressible human rights activist and former presidential candidate Omoyele Sowore. Thank you very much indeed for coming in.
Thank you for having me.
What has motivated you to take this step of calling on people to take to the streets to draw attention to the need to release Mr. Kanu?
It's a number of things, and one is that we're friends, and we've been friends for a long time. In fact, I was one of the few people through Sahara TV that interviewed Nnamdi Kanu when he was relatively unknown, before he was arrested the first time. When I met him in 2019 in New York, I had a conversation about the struggle for his people, and we struck a friendship then. And I was here in Nigeria, myself, held up by the Nigerian government when he was extraordinary rendition from Kenya. In fact, I was one of the few people who ran to court by the time he had been taken to the DSS detention, where he had been deposited before, after he was kidnapped from Kenya. So, but the most important thing is that I understand the nature of justice, fair hearing, his constitutional right. And it is in his own case that you can say that he's presumed guilty and he's trying to prove his innocence, which is very sad. If you look at how long it has taken for all these court processes to take place, you know that Kanu's fate is not in the hands of the judiciary. If a decision was taken today by the owners of Nigeria to let him go, the judge might sit in the middle of the night and let him go. And by the way, on my way here, something happened. President Tinubu just pardoned 82 people. One of them was Herbert Macaulay, Nnamdi Azikwe, of course, Farouk, who collected bribe from Otedola, a cocaine dealer who was in prison for life, and a fraudster. So if you can pardon this array of people and several others, I'm not asking for pardon for him, but it's a time to let Nnamdi Kanu go.
Is there a lot of public support for the release of Nnamdi Kanu, or is that difficult to gauge?
Oh, it's unprecedented. You know, I've been fighting for his release for a long time. I used to attend all his court trials. Under Buhari, I was attacked several times. Each time I went to court, I was attacked physically by the DSS, police, thugs. But this time around, I'm surprised at the number of known traditional people, you know what I mean, who are in support of. In fact, there was a poll put up by, you know, it's not a scientific poll, by Tunde Ednon's page, who's a major Instagram influencer. And out of 17,000 people, 92% of them support the call for his release and the protest that's been planned for 28th of October.
I understand you've tried to contact many leaders in the Southeast to take more public-facing action in support of Nnamdi Kanu's release. Have you been struck by their apparent lack of personal involvement and commitment to that cause?
I'm not shocked, because I think on your show I once declared that Kanu's predicament, or his ordeal, is as a result of some persons in the Southeast who took a decision that his release would jeopardize their political career and future. That I know as far back as when Tinubu freshly became president, because I was part of some conversation to release him. And they said at that time, Imo elections are coming. If it comes out, APC might not win. And subsequently, I realized that some of the communiques you see is just, you know, word of mouth by day. When they go at night or when they meet Tinubu, it's likely that they have a different position. And when I started contacting them in the last 24 hours, I'm shocked. You know, some of them that I used to be able to reach just switched off their lines. The ones I sent messages never responded. I reached out to Soludo, who I know personally.
That's Charles Soludo,
who's governor of
Anambra State.
No response till now. I reached out to Alex Oti. Alex Oti used to be a columnist for Sahara Reporters, so I know him personally. No response till now. The only response I got was a nominal response that no, we shouldn't have dragged us the way you did. Reached out to Peter Obi, they said he's in Rome. But I sent a message that, you know, you can behave as the Romans do too, you know, just be part of this. But some have been encouraging. Senator Abaribe, I reached out to him, he responded, he said, I'm in on this. And I know that Abaribe suffered when he was a shorty for Kanu. In fact, I was sleeping on Abaribe's bed at the DSS in 2019, shortly after he was released, because he was shorty for Nnamdi Kanu. So the rep from his state at the National House of Rep also has signed up. A number of persons have signed up, some of them publicly, but there is no unified response from Southeastern political leaders or traditional rulers, or even the religious priesthood there, which many had expected would happen. But a lot of young people have signed up to this, and you can see that the Nigerian government is already pushing back, because they've seen the response to be unequivocally in support of the release of Nnamdi Kanu at this time. I don't think they were expecting that such a response will be so favorable and swift.
So is this what you think is needed to push this Nnamdi Kanu issue over the line and perhaps change President Tinubu's view of Mr. Kanu, and not the sort of behind-the-scenes quiet diplomacy that has been going on since?
It's obvious that diplomacy cannot work. If it was going to work, by now it would have resolved the issue. I think they use the diplomacy or their proclamation about diplomacy to just make the public become a little lethargic about his release, so that nobody, oh, they're working on it, don't worry. Because we hear that a lot from Oti, who is the Abia State governor, that is working on this quietly. In fact, I was told in court about 2 weeks ago that he will be released on head grounds. They are convinced everybody, only for him to come to court, and we kept changing goalposts, as we call it. So I don't think diplomacy has to be a combination of, you know, actions. And one of it, I think, is going to be a loud public disapproval of his continued detention, and the protest would work, in my view, in that regard. And that's why I want these people who claim to want him to be released to join the protest. Yes, because when they have issues, they do protest. You know, there's no major politician in this country that has ever participated in the protest when their own private interests are at stake.
I was speaking to a group of Nigerian political campaigners recently, and they seem to think that mobilizing the Nigerian people for any kind of large-scale protest has become a sort of famously impossible thing to achieve. I mean, do you share that view?
Well, I don't. It's the same country in 2024 that Nigerians protested for 10 days straight in what was known as End Bad Governance struggle. Nigerians in 2020 did End SARS. It was a globally acclaimed resistance.
Well, to be fair, the End SARS was the last big protest.
Yes, but there was still a protest in 2024. It may not have been as big. What I'm saying is that, yes, there's been efforts to discourage Nigerians, and you know, when you go out there and kill people and charge them for offenses that are very grievous in nature, you're likely to discourage a country in which, you know, you have 139 million people who are living in abject poverty. They just want to go out there and get whatever they can and survive from day to day, hand to mouth. So, but I don't think that is impossible. What has been impossible is the unity of purpose, because they have figured out how to divide us, you know, along ethnicity. I remember in 2024, when we were planning bad governance protest, we included the release of Nnamdi Kanu in that protest. And Johannes Ndego, when I issued a statement that they are not part of the protest. So maybe by now we would have gotten Nnamdi released. So there's also a lot of tactics used by Nigerian government to discourage people. And some of it is how they have made it open-ended to kill protesters, you know, implicate them in crimes that are insurmountable. You saw in 2024 how they charged children for treason. It's never happened anywhere in the world before. So, but I think the consciousness around it is great. And I also think that in some ways, Nigerians always love when things are happening in other places. They love the replica of it. You know, you notice that there's been a lot of chatter around Nepal, you know, Morocco recently.